Hi everyone, I'm Tabitha, and today we're talking about character notes. Character notes are literally the notes you take when you create a character for the first time. They help us with continuity of the character throughout the entire story, and they also help us make sure our characters have depth. They're very useful to come back to anytime you're adding a new scene, like say maybe when an editor or a beta reader suggests something you forgot to include, or if you decide to write a sequel. Today I'll be talking about my process for character notes. I personally have taken character notes in two different ways. For my Kingdom of Franz series, I have a little notebook filled with all the important information about all of my characters. Each character gets their own page. Here's Iselda's. Important characters that I might need to find quickly have little sticky note flags with their names on them. I make sure to update this book after every book in the series is done. So this book contains the most current information at all times. Most of the time, however, I use spreadsheets on the computer. The spreadsheet helps me organize some of the important information all in one spot, and I do actually have one for the Kingdom of Franz series. The question I probably get asked the most is what is actually on my character's notes. So today we're going to take a look at mine. I am going to tell you that the one we're using today is a sample. It is 6 characters from the Kingdom of Franz series. It was cut and pasted from the actual document, but my real document has 55 characters and a lot of spoilers. So I pared it down to make sure that fans of Breaking Iselda don't get information they're not supposed to have yet. Let's dive in. The first thing I always put on my character spreadsheets are the basics. So here's the sample. As you can see, we have names. The Kingdom of Franz series, my characters do not have last names. So in this case, we don't. If last names appear in your work, they should be on your spreadsheet. Then you'll notice I also have eye and hair color listed. On some of my characters, like Iselda, Jordan, and Tin, you'll see a little asterisk with another description next to it, like Iselda says shamrock and Jordan says ocean. That's a word that was actually used in the book to describe the shade of their eyes or hair color. So I do keep track of those things as well. As you can see, when they're all together like this, it's a nice way for you to make sure you've included a little diversity. For example, I don't have only characters with brown eyes. The next thing I record on my character notes are the basics that are only important for this particular story. So in the Kingdom of Franz series, that includes the character's height, the realm that they're from, and the profession they hold in that realm. Now you'll notice over here, I have some things striked out. That means during the course of the book, that actually changes. In other words, at the beginning of Breaking Iselda, she's a princess. By the end, she's a queen. Okay, this is my favorite part. I mentioned that character notes can help you give a character depth. So how do we do that? I ask 3 questions about every character I create, whether they're the main character or a tiny background character, and I record those answers on my chart. So those questions are, what are they afraid of? What do they want? And what are they willing to do to get what they want? Let's look at a sample. Iselda is my main character for book 1, so we'll start with her. She's afraid of failure, to the point where she'd rather not try than try and fail. What does she want? Well, she wants policies that are fair for everyone in the whole kingdom. So what's she willing to do to get those fair policies? She's only willing to follow others. Iselda doesn't have a lot of great ideas on her own, but if you come up with a great idea, she will follow you all the way through with it. Let's jump down here to Linchanta, who is a background character who appears in maybe 4 scenes in the first book. She's afraid of hunger. She's experienced real, true hunger before in her life, and she doesn't want to do that again. What does she want? She wants equality. Linchanta is not a royal. She wants people of the realms who don't have royal blood to feel equal. So what's she willing to do to get that equality? She's willing to listen. She'll listen to the people in charge. She'll listen to the people who are hurting. She'll just listen. You can see how this information can really help you feel like you know a character, and it can help guide your decisions. If I'm not using a spreadsheet, if I'm using my notebook, those same 3 questions will be answered. And I highlight them. So you can see here, I'm trying to hide spoilers. On each character's page, their fear is going to be highlighted yellow. What they want is going to be highlighted orange. And what they're willing to do is going to be highlighted blue. So if you'd rather use paper, I highly suggest highlighters. Sometimes the notes I need for some of these characters don't fit on their own spreadsheet. For example, my story called The Academy, which is a not yet published fiction story about 2 girls attending a magic school. I kept mentioning classes one or the other of the girls had with background characters. I realized I was going to need a class schedule to make sure that this was actually possible. So now I have a class schedule in my character documents. So you'll see I have each character, Angela, Tanya, Chris, and so on, and where they are, first period, second period, and so on. And you'll notice that strikeout tool comes up again right here. We see that Cheryl's first period must change at some point during the book. I have something kind of like that for Breaking Iselda as well, except instead of class schedules, it's a family tree. Breaking Iselda has 5 realms that make up one kingdom, and each realm has a ruling family. It's mentioned often who the ruling families are and how important that is. So I had to have those trees. The only one I can show you that's not filled with giant spoilers is Renchenda. So this is Jordan's realm. You can see that it starts all the way at the top with the first Lear Oberian, and then it follows all the way down. I have it all planned out for all these generations leading up to our friend Jordan down here. So don't be afraid to make something you find yourself mentioning in the story over and over again. Okay, that's it for me and my character notes. I hope you found at least one little tidbit that's useful to you, because if I can help at least one person, then I know I did my job. If you have a comment, something that worked for you, or a question, something you're still wondering, drop it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button so that you'll know when I'm back. You guys are awesome. Keep being amazing and keep plotting the path to your dreams. I'll see you next week. Bye.